Ladies and gentlemen, we started here as a support group, and we're still here for you because there's plenty to still be high on about this Florida State team. We're going to tell you about that. We're going to tell you about some things we need to see against NC State moving forward on today's edition of Locked On Seminoles.
Let's ride.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
As Drake likes to say, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Seminoles. I'm your host today, David Weiss, and I have my co-host here today, Drake. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, but you need to have your own tagline to enter the people back into our conversation because good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. That's my bit. Come on, man.
I know, and I gave you credit for that. But you know what? We're keeping it chipper here today. We here started as a support group for those suffering from Florida State fandom. We are well beyond that at this point because the tides have turned, notwithstanding what you just saw against Wake Forest. There is still plenty reason to view this season as nothing but a wild success thus far and to be optimistic about this team moving forward. Drake, obviously, that Wake Forest game leaves a sour taste in fans' mouths. It's the most recent game, so it just feels the most urgent. And the most urgent feeling right now is just kind of sadness and being upset about that game. Tell me your main reason why, even after that game, you still feel very good about this team.
I mean, the main reason why is just the play of Jordan Travis. And I think that's one thing that basically, even despite how poor his offensive lines played in this past game, and also you kind of seen since Robert Scott has gone down, that he has excelled and evolved as a pure passer. And he is one of the top quarterbacks right now in the country. And also you see right now, no one said this over the offseason, that he actually is a legitimate NFL prospect too, as well. He actually makes those elite NFL throws. And also you look towards the wide receiver play. And the wide receiver plays, we haven't seen solid, consistent weapons on the outside or in the slot in quite some time. And to me, that's probably where I'm most excited about because also the offense is fun. The offense is great to watch. And we've been waiting to see basically this offense built for playmakers from Mike Norvell, and it's finally come to fruition for this season.
100%. I used to say last season and previous seasons, it looked like every time Florida State played somebody, no matter how good or bad they were, that they made the field look an awful lot bigger than we did when we were on offense versus when they are on offense. That's no longer the case. It feels like receivers are always finding space and Jordan Travis is always hitting them in space. That's probably my main answer too, but there's more for that. There's more than that for me. I believe this defense has not come even close to reaching its ceiling. That's not to say that they for sure will, but I believe there's a lot of room to grow. We've been out Fabien Lovett. Jared Verse has been injured. Just those two injuries alone, you can see the immediate impact. Without Fabien Lovett, Robert Cooper has been playing like a shell of himself.
And I'm pretty sure Cooper actually is probably hurt too as well, because I think he suffered a lower leg sort of injury, sort of nicked up over in the Boston College game.
Yep. If you had told me before this year that there was a position group other than the interior defensive line that was going to be the best position group on this team, I would have laughed in your face because it should have been among the best in the country. And thus far this season, and especially with Fabio out, just has not been the case. So we're going to get him back from injury at some point. Jared Verse, you saw him come in against Wake Forest, play through that injury, and be our most effective defensive lineman despite playing through that. So I believe there is still room to grow for this defense. I believe that this defense, still sitting in that like 40-ish range, has room to jump into the top 25 this season. I have not lost faith in it yet. There's still too much talent on that side of the ball. Fuller's defense last year got better as the season went on, and I hope that those same adjustments can be made with what I believe to be a much more talented roster and experienced roster this year than last year.
And that also goes to show that last year the defense actually was primarily healthy for those remaining 4 to 5 games. And for right now, S&P Plus, the offense for the team is 33rd in the country, while the defense is 38th. So you still are the top 40 defense, where in the offseason we discussed that we believe this talent-wise, the caliber of his defense can reach to the top 25. And slowly but surely, we should be actually making our way there when we get these players back. And then also when you see overall scheming-wise, it's still not my most favorite thing, but also you're seeing that the players actually are in the position to succeed. It's just now that these kids need to learn how to win. And that's something that definitely they'll be able to get through going through the meatier part of their conference schedule. And then also just main reason why I'm happy is you know the band Green Day, Dave?
Yeah, of course.
You know the song Wake Me Up When September Ends?
Yes, I do.
I was playing that nonstop for the past 4 seasons because FSU, I think, would never have a good September. But this is the first time where I didn't want that month actually overall to end. So basically, it's more that this team has been competitive and fun to watch for an entire month. And I'm not going to let one bad game that, there's a lot that we need to grow from, and we'll talk about it in the next segment, that actually overall to me to kind of hamper me down.
Yeah, that if you had told any fan, no matter how positive, before this season started, that you would go out there and after LSU, Malik Cunningham and Louisville, and a ranked Wake Forest team, that you would be 4-1, there is not a single fan that would not take that in a heartbeat and run with it. Everyone would, because it's been an incredible start to the season. Mike Norvell has transformed the offense. He's been a killer in the transfer portal. He finally has the special teams outside of place kicking. He finally has the special teams playing at a very high level. You see that kickoff coverage is swarming. The guys seem to be bought into their role on special teams, which you see for the really good teams in the country. Guys give 110% on special teams, even though to a lot of guys it feels like, why am I even doing this? I should be playing offense and defense. It's a waste of my time. You see the buy-in there, and you see that these guys, just like last year, continue to not give up when they're in bad spots. Against Wake Forest, this team did not lay down and die. We've just discussed now, I think, 5 or 6 good reasons why you should be very high on this team, notwithstanding what we just saw this past weekend in a game that we probably could have won had we not made some silly mistakes.
Do we like losing? No. Do we understand that we're 4-1? Absolutely. Like right now, this is a solid team. This is a good team that we're going to continue to support. And now simply we're going to turn the page and move forward over to NC State.
That's right, Drake. NC State is another ranked opponent. We play 2 ranked opponents in 2 weeks. We're going to play 3 ranked opponents in 3 weeks. We're going to learn a lot more about this team. We said that this was going to be a pivotal stretch of the season. This 3-game stretch is difficult. And if we can come out of this stretch 2-1, that would put us at, what would that be, 6-1 on the season? But even if we come out of
1-2,
1-2, even
5-2 is still great too. Heading into the bye week,
that's right.
Lick your wounds, get some players back, get more healthy, and then you got Georgia Tech, Miami, Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida. You can easily, probably not sweep, but maybe win 4 out of those last 5 games. Sorry, math is hard, as you can tell. That's why I'm an attorney.
Yeah, this is the way that we've seen this team play this year. The fact that we were close in that game at the end against Wake Forest, that was about as bad as you've seen us play at any stretch this season against a team playing at a high level, and we were still in the game. That should tell you everything you need to know about this team. We're going to learn a lot more in this next game against NC State and after that against Clemson. And if we come out of that looking like we have the first part of this season, yeah, that back half of the slate's looking awfully juicy to get to 9, possibly. I don't want to sound crazy, but 10 wins isn't out of the picture yet, depending on what we look like these next 2 weeks. And that would be exciting for anyone.
No, that'd be completely exciting. But Dave, you know what also is super exciting overall?
What's that, Trick?
Our title sponsor for today's episode, the folks over at Simply Safe. Folks, the numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people, that's right, 4 million people have chosen Simply Safe Home Security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. I know because I use Simply Safe in my own home. They protect you with cutting-edge technology, powered by 247 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. Here's why I love it. I'm able to bring out my phone, get the app up real quick, crystal clear HD live camera streaming right to my phone, and also the wide variety of high-tech sensors. Customize the perfect system for your own home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. Save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month for free, and for free. by visiting simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege, LOCKEDON college, to learn more, because there's no safe like Simply Safe.
Speaking of Simply Safe, Drake, do you know who's not simply safe on this team? Jordan Travis standing behind this offensive line right now. We have to talk about some things that need to get better against NC State and moving forward, because Jordan Travis's health is paramount. He's the best
You're a
player
dick
on
for
this
that,
team
bro.
right now. He's playing as well as any quarterback in this conference and among the top echelon of college football at the quarterback position. And the offensive line is not good. Alex Atkins has, to this point in his FSU career as a coach, done a remarkable job developing some players that probably shouldn't even be playing Power 5 football into serviceable players at Florida State.
Brady Scott, number 1 pass blocker last year.
Right. But what we're seeing along this offensive line, it's not good enough. We sustained some serious injuries before the season and throughout the season. And that's not good. That's hard to replace. But we told you right here that this was a deep offensive line, that we finally had quality depth. And you'd be hard pressed to find anybody right now that would tell you that depth looks very quality. Drake, what's got to change on this offensive line, man?
This is one of those things where you really just need Robert Scott back. I mean, Robert Scott overall, I think he's averaged, around a 64, maybe even a 63 when it comes to PFF for pass blocking. I think he's overall a 60 lineman, which is your solid starter. And losing him is basically what is kind of hampering his team right now, especially because Justin Turrentine came from South Carolina. Like I said on the show they committed, I have a few friends of mine there who thought he was more valuable as a swing lineman and also towards the inside, because he's a large fella, but he's not the quickest or fleetest of foot. And then you have him with Dimitri Manuel on the right side. That was the one thing that me and you talked about against Boston College. The right side of the offensive line, you can definitely see there's kind of sort of a little more porous than the rest of just the entire line. You lose Robert Scott, and this is where you see Darius Washington, who has not been able to have a full offseason to basically bulk up, to get functional strength, to kind of he needs that. He really, really does. And then you see him at the left tackle spot where he struggled. And also, if you saw the game on Saturday, basically killed a drive by himself. Now, he probably told the same thing, but overall, he struggled there. So for me, I don't know what you do here exactly. Maybe you flip Justin Turrentine and you as well with Darius Washington, because Darius Washington played right tackle last season. Or maybe you try Dimitri Manuel at that left tackle spot, move Justin Turrentine to the inside. So you keep those, because one of the big issues for this offensive line struggling so badly is they've had so many injuries, and you need continuity across the offensive line, because all the words, all the messaging, all the coding, basically to the rest of the line, you need to be on the same page. And you can't be on the same page if you haven't played enough with each other.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you go look down the list of grades, we only have one offensive lineman this year grading over a 65 in pass blocking. You want to guess who that is?
Oh, it's the GOAT, Dylan Gibbons.
It's Dylan Gibbons. That's right. And if you look at the top of the pass blocking list for Florida State.
Actually, you're wrong about that. Morris Smith is a 65 exactly.
Okay. I said over 65. But nonetheless, among the top list of guys for Florida State who've played more than a dozen snaps this year, our top 2 pass blockers are Trayshawn Ward and Cam McDonald. That's not good. Jordan Travis is doing what he's doing this year in spite of the pass blocking. That may sound familiar to you, because what happened last year was Jayshon Corbin and Trayshawn Ward doing absolutely ridiculous things in spite of run blocking. So I give a lot of credit to Jordan Travis for kind of transforming his game such that he's using his legs to escape or move around the pocket and kind of overcome the poor pass blocking we're seeing, because you're exactly right. Justin Turrentine's not getting it done. He is, what is he this year in pass blocking? A 56 on 323 snaps, the second most snaps of any offensive lineman on this team. And it's not any better in run blocking either, where he grades 58.5. Yeah, things have to change. You've seen some people clamoring for Julian Armella, true freshman, obviously, uber talented, legacy kid, big. He's been described as pretty prepared physically. Why do you not want to see him already?
Do you want the same thing to happen to Julian Armella to happen to Darius Washington by playing him too early against 2 defensive lines with legit freaks and NFL prospects across it. Do you really want his first action to be against NC State and then turn it around within a week against Clemson with Brian Brzee, Xavier Thomas, Miles Murphy, Tyler Davis? I can probably say some freshmen from last season too, because those are kids that he's not ready for that. And you saw in Boston College that the game looked too fast for him. If it's too fast for him against Boston College, how fast do you think he's going to look for him against NC State and also against Clemson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's fair. I guess just the thing is, we know that the guys out there aren't getting it done. And when you know that to be the case, it's like, how much worse could it get? And truly, that's my question. How much worse could it get? Because what you're seeing right now is abysmal. Yeah, please.
Julian Armella misses a block and George Travis gets hurt, misses the rest of the season.
Yeah,
he's one to learn on the job like that.
I don't know that that's not already going to happen the way this offensive line is playing, because at times, if you watched that Wake Forest game closely, it looked like Wake had 10 times longer for Sam Hartman to just sit there, survey the field, hold that slow mesh as long as he damn well pleased, and throw to whoever he wanted. If you watched our offensive line, it looked like Jordan Travis had like a second and a half to make a decision with whether he was going to move out of the pocket or move up in the pocket or whatever. And then B, to keep his eyes down the field and make a throw. It was quick. And that's not acceptable. You give Jordan Travis more time, imagine what he could do. Because right now he's doing it without the time.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I can agree with that. Just more that, like, with Julian Armella, like, it's literally you asking him to, like, learn on the job. And that's something I don't think he's ready for until maybe the back half of the schedule. And
so
also
sorry, is there no one else on? Okay, maybe it's not Julian Armella for you. Is there anyone else on this roster that you would like to see tried out to see if maybe they're a better option at this point?
Maybe Bryson Estes, my boy Honeybone Bryson. Maybe you put him on the inside. Maybe you can do that. Because to me right now, I mean, it's really funny because actually, Jackson Turrentine's like pass blocking grade against LSU was like a 76. Now against Wake, it was a 67. So to me, he's more hampered by probably the bad games, because Boston College, he can probably tell you too, that was his worst game. Him and Big Meat, Dimitri Emanuel. So to me, overall, it's maybe you plug in Bryson Estes to basically kind of spell Darius Washington, because I feel like he's a little more physically stronger than probably D-Wash. But to me, he's the only one I could think of, because there's right now nobody else. I mean, you see Julian Armella against Boston College, not that great. Not that great. It was too fast for him. You see Lloyd Willis against Boston College. You can still see that he's still not clicking for him there. So, like, there's really, to me, there's no other offensive lineman I can think of off the top of my head. And this is why we needed that depth, because if we didn't have Bless Harris or Kane Loss coming to transfer portal, where would we be right now?
Yeah, this is a familiar position for us, unfortunately, the last several years. We thought we had overcome this, but then the injury bug came biting again. Seems all too familiar for Florida State. I'd be willing to bet you that you're going to see some different players shuffled in and out to see if we have anything else out there, because we got to give Jordan Travis more time. With more time, he's only going to get better, and he's already great.
No, I agree with that, but I think it's more that I think when we get Robert Scott back, I think that's actually where you'll see that the offensive line will probably be at least serviceable in the point that actually can give him enough time, because our Robert Scott actually he was the linchpin. He was someone I highlighted as a potential NFL draft prospect into the season. So
yeah, that's right. And sorry for all of this offensive line talk, but just understand this is one of the most important things going on right now with Florida State football, because if you had given Jordan Travis a bunch of time in that game to throw, I firmly believe we could have won that game. If we don't sleepwalk through that first half after the first drive, it's probably a different complexion to that game after we stop Wake Forest early. So yeah, we gotta get the offensive line, if not right, at least better, because I think better would be good enough for the skills we have at receiver, running back, and quarterback.
Well, you know what actually probably help the offensive lineman, Dave, by actually getting better?
What's that?
If we send them the goods and the treats over from our friends over at Built Bar, folks. You need to try the Built Bar Puffs. Dave and I had the birthday cake
Oh, yeah, it was.
Puffs. What did it taste like, Dave? You had a great description for it.
I don't know, but it tasted like fresh birthday cake batter to me. Like they don't taste like protein bars or like wheat building bars. They're delicious.
They're just wonderful. There's no other way to put it. Whether you're a Cherry Barcia Casanova like myself, or you're a cookie dough connoisseur like my friend Dave over here, but if you don't like those flavors, there are 17 other flavors to choose from. And also there are 10 different puffs to choose from. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15, and you get a 15% bonus off of your order. Once again, that is LOCKEDON15, LOCKEDON15, Built Bar at built.com. Folks, let's get healthy together.
All right, we are back, and I want to thank you for being here with us and for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you. We love you. We couldn't do this without you. Drake, there's probably a little more to talk about than just the offensive line, about things heading into NC State and beyond that we want to see change. I think we're good at the receiver position. I think we're good at the running back position. I think it's the defense at this point that us and a lot of people out there are looking for. Twitter ain't happy with what they saw out of the defense against Wake Forest. A lot of people feel like if Wake really put their foot on the gas, they probably could have put 50 on us. And you think that too, I know, and I don't think that's untrue either. Drake, high level, what has to change here on the defense in your mind?
For the defense overall, for me, I think we need to have more push up front. I think that's just basically where it starts off at. Now, I know the defensive back play hasn't been great for the entire season, but one of the big things is like you doing your defensive backs no service if you're getting no push up front at all whatsoever. One of the big things that a lot of defensive backs over the past few years from high school when they're recruiting, look at Terry and Arnold over at Alabama. I don't want to be left on an island by myself running around with my wide receiver because eventually he is going to get open. So to me, we need to see the defensive linemen step up. You saw Patrick Payton as well as Joshua Farmer do very well with their more snaps. Malcolm Ray, when he's not off the field being hurt, he's actually been probably a pretty serviceable lineman, to be honest with you. He's actually been one of the more surprising players this season. To me, I need to see more from Robert Cooper. I need to see more from Jared Jackson. So to me, overall, I need to see more push up front. And hopefully with the return of Jared Verse, it can make their job easier because as well, this spot here has been hurt by injury. And I'm pretty sure also there are some players on the team right now that are starting or playing that haven't been disclosed yet. They're also playing hurt as well.
Yeah, the defensive line and the secondary are inextricably intertwined. If you're getting good play out of your defensive line and pressure on the quarterback, that's less time those DBs are going to have to cover. That opens them up to making more plays. That makes their lives easier and likely their performance better. And on the flip side, if your DBs are covering receivers like a glove, then your defensive line is going to have more time to get to the quarterback. It's that simple. So if either one of them can step it up, I think it needs to start up front. Like you said, you have to start there with the front four. You may have to start getting creative with blitz packages if the front four isn't getting it done in light of injuries, because like we said earlier, with Fabien Lovett out, with Jared Verse out or limited, it's been tough to generate pressure. And that's not something we expected out of this defensive line. So yeah, moving forward, we got to get healthy, obviously, first of all. But if we're not going to get healthy, we got to see some creativity. And I don't know, I think it's the situational football for me, man. Like, some head scratchers for me in that Wake game we talked about yesterday a little bit. I don't understand why we're seeing our DBs 8 yards off coverage on receivers on third and shorts. Good receivers that will probably catch the ball and be guaranteed a first down. That's tough.
And also, some of them are probably going to the NFL too, to be honest with you too. They're pretty damn good. And like, I know the thought in reaction to that is, well, if they're good, then of course you want to play off because you don't want to get burned by them. Florida State has done a great job of keeping things in front of them this year and not letting plays get behind them on defense. Great job doing that. But there's situations where you can't necessarily just play off coverage, and third and shorts where they're lined up in a passing down. You got to know better than that. Like, you got to coach that. You got to coach these guys to get up in the receivers' faces and not just make it so that Hartman has 2 or 3 guys he can immediately throw the ball to and be guaranteed a first down. There were several times in that game where had we gotten off the field, it would have changed the outlook of the game because they got up so big at one point that it almost became insurmountable, and it ended up being insurmountable. But it didn't have to be that way, because had we made that early field goal, even the way the game played out with poor situational football, we still would have been down 1 score. And just get off the field. But that's not what was being taught to them in those situations, and that's incredibly frustrating. So no, I mean I do agree that there's some situational football that basically like I'm not a big fan of where we have these longer, more physical like looking backs.
Mm-hmm.
They're typically you kind of want them to be closer to the line so they can get physical with the wide receiver, especially because Jamal Banks, A.T. Perry, and Donovan Green, those are elite wide receivers. You don't want to give them 8 yards in front of them to kind of like be able to do the route running because they're very good at route running, very good at everything else overall. But to me, also, we need to see better tackling. We need to see better initiative because we did see that they were kind of sleepwalking through the first half. You saw on the Keyshawn Williams, I think, third down conversion, where overall he catches the ball, goes around Kevin Knowles, goes around Ronaldo Green, and then he drags Akeem Dent to the third down conversion for the first down. So to me, I do understand your gripe with the situational football because trust me, I'm the president of the I Hate Adam Fuller fan club. But aside from that, he actually did call a quality game, decent enough game to probably put the win on that. But to me, I think overall, to me, grand scheme of things for offense and defense, I need to see these kids learn and know how to win because it was very humbling for the entire team, and they could probably tell you the same damn thing. And you hear Jordan Travis' comments that they lost focus. They can't lose focus. And to me, that's probably the overarching theme of this entire show for the game against NC State, because NC State's a very good team.
That's right. If there was a play in particular, to your point, where I think we had 3 guys surrounding, was it A.T. Perry? And it was like, this is him at the 25-yard line. He ends up at the 35 on this play.
That's Keyshawn Williams, the one I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That can't happen. I don't know who needs to hear this, but we've missed 58 tackles this year. We've played 5 games, so we're missing more than 11 tackles per game. That's not good. That's undisciplined football, and that's surprising considering how surgical the offense has been this year and what we saw out of this defense towards the end of last year and even at times throughout this year. It's just the missed tackles and the head scratching plays like Greedy Vance's non-interception just seem to happen at the worst times for this team. And I don't know what you do about that, but I think you're right. I think it just comes with the territory of learning what it's like to play in crunch time in games that matter and games that you have a chance to win and probably should win. And that'll take some time. It sounds so soft to hear us say like, oh, you got to learn how to win, but that's a real thing because players that don't know how to win take their foot off the gas and give up a lot easier. You haven't seen the give up a lot out of this team, but situationally you've seen players play lackadaisically or lose their fundamentals in key situations. And you have to clean that up if you're Adam Fuller moving forward, if you want this defense to complement the offense in a way that allows us to win our tougher games.
I couldn't say that by myself, Dave. I think basically now this is the point of the schedule where you're going to learn a lot about this team. And that I think this is a very good team. And the reason we're talking about this today, folks, is that this team is allowed to grow. They're allowed to make mistakes. We saw that very evident on Saturday. But it's also a team that after seeing the first 4 games, we have high hopes for this team. We have high expectations as well. Not AC championship expectations, but more being able to have quality, competent, consistent football from the first snap to the very last snap when the time is running out. The time is out. So to me, this is a team that is still growing. It's a great thing to see. It's still a very young team, and to me, I'm just very excited about being able to probably see them against an NC State team that I legitimately think we have a solid chance to win.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a really good game to see where the defense is at and if they've cleaned anything up, because Devin Leary has underperformed and underwhelmed this year, and opposing teams have managed to hold him in check. So you would expect this defense, which again, top 40 and probably should be top 25. If they're going to be a top 25 defense, this is the kind of game where you should be able to see them, bow their necks and play to the level of competition and hold Devin Leary in check. So I'm hoping we see that. Obviously, you're hoping we see that. Everybody, we hope you see that too. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Locked On Seminoles. Again, thank you for being here. Drake, tell everybody where to find our podcast on YouTube.
Folks, you can find our podcast either on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever your podcast from. Don't forget for those 5-star reviews. As always, we're on the YouTube, as you can see my beautiful face, Dave's face.
Right.
Please like this video, hit hit the subscribe button at the tippy top and ding the little bell so you know immediately when new content drops. But I'm excited for this week, Dave. We have the new Know Your Foe segment coming out as soon as well. I'm finalizing that. Hopefully we can get Kenton back on from last year. But as always, folks, Dave, send us home.
Yes, we will be here tomorrow. That's right, because we are here for you every day, and we're going to be your support group to get you through this loss until we win again, which we hope will be next week.
Which we will. It will be this week. No, it will be this week. Not next week. It will be this week, Dave.
That's exactly right. It'll be this week, and then it'll be the week after that, too. That's right. Thank you for being here, everybody. That was Drake. I'm Dave, and this was Locked On Seminoles.
Take care, everybody.
Go Noles, beat NC State.
Beat NC State. Russell Wilson hated you.